Kinagwaya, Nigi Koindish Nakas, Makwamin wa Webjashidorem, Bawating the Dongjaba, Begwa and Okujiwanong Nidada, Anishinaabe Quaindendao, Nijmana Dogdendao. So hello everyone, my name is Katie Larvier. I'm of the Baron Martin clan. I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, but I'm currently living in Peterborough for school. I'm a two-spirit Anishinaabe woman, and I'm coming here today representing Fringe North in a very special Indigenous roundtable. As always, we'll be doing our roundtables every Thursday until the festival begins on August 21st. We're joined here today by some amazing Indigenous artists, so I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to introduce yourselves and tell us about the projects you're bringing to Fringe this season. And then whoever can go first.
I guess I can go. So I am representing, my name is Care and my pronouns are she, they. I am representing the Bawating Child Welfare Warriors. And we are currently conducting interviews with survivors of the child welfare system, or the Indigenous child welfare system, more specific, and those who have aged out and what type of support they've received and what kind of gaps need to be filled. So I think that we have about 3 candidates that we're going to be working with, and hopefully we can get everything kind of in there and done. But things seem to be moving along smoothly. So
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
thank you.
Bonjour, Jean-Paul Chelikov, Indigenous Cause, Wawandon Jaba, Midashki Andadazia, and Ade, Michipuadong, Ijinika, the Ishkwanagani, Wenjabayan. So my name is John-Paul Chelikov. I was born and raised in Wawa, Ontario, and I'm a member of Michipikan First Nation. I an assistant professor in a Anishinaabe Moin and a Anishinaabe Studies at Algoma University and Shingwakinamagigimik, and also musician and puppeteer, I guess.
Amazing. Thank you guys for sharing. So we'll get right into the questions. So what inspired you guys to become an artist? And then whoever can go first again.
I guess I'll go ahead. I guess I never really considered myself an artist. Um, I I really like doing passion work. I am a case manager in my day job, and so I was really looking for something to pour my heart into. While I work on some healing, some personal healing, and I like doing my work and having a cool project to work on in order to heal alongside, or yeah. So I had asked Cece Trahan, who I'm working with as well, if she had any projects for me, and she said I'd be a cool fit for this one, and this is exactly what got me interested. So
Amazing. That's really cool. I love how, art can be really healing for us and how that's really just intertwined with our culture.
mhm.
I guess for me, it was quite a bit of a detour. I remember, I think it was like grade 2 when he did those annual "What do you want to be when you grow up" things. I remember, I think grade 2, I was like, I wanted to be an artist and didn't really know what that meant. And like all the messaging was, well, you're gonna have a hard time if you're an artist. There's not a lot of, and so over time, like I gradually drifted from it, and I played music, and I was always hesitant to call myself a musician. Like, I'm a person that plays music, and I'm not an artist. I'm someone that does art, and always kind of hesitant from those saying those kinds of things as well. And uh, but uh, I yeah, I've gradually played music, and I'm about 2.5 years into doing puppetry and that, and then so I like started puppetry at 35, and so a lot of it for me is just one of those things, like the kind of like it's not too late to uh, like you could kind of take a detour from art, but you could always find a way back in. I've been doing it more and more often, and it's been feeling more and more comfortable, like saying like a musician and like doing like puppetry and those kinds of things. And so I guess I've always been drawn to it in some way, and even the further I drift from it, it always seemed to pull me back in some way. And glad to share it and encourage others to pursue art, even if you don't have to be the best at something in order to be an artist. And I think that's an important thing. I think for people is like you can still do arts-based things, and you don't have to be the best ever of all time. And if it brings joy to you and others, I just keep doing it. There, yeah. So some of the things that came to art, others that inspired me to pursue art, and hopefully share some of that too.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, you guys. And I definitely, JP, for you, I can see how like your art is shared with other people, because last year my niece and nephew attended one of your performances at Fringe, and they went up and they participated with the puppet, and it was so cool to see, because they're COVID babies and they're kind of shy. So it was the first time I really seen them like step out of their shell like that. And it was just really amazing. So I like what you said there. So next question, how do you incorporate like community and identity into your art?
Um, I think I typically work or strive towards working with Indigenous people within my community or in my surrounding community. So I am part of the Indigenous community that lives off reserve. I'm from Edmonton, Saddle Lake. So I have been displaced, and it can be quite challenging. So I do work with that community, but I also live in the Bawating area. So
Mhm.
also my community.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially as like a caseworker, ensuring like you're with the community and understanding that community. And I understand what it's like, well, not fully, but like know what it's like to be displaced. No, Nokujiwanong's not my territory, and it can be really isolating, and it's different when you're not from like with your community that you grow up with. So I get how hard that can be, but it's cool to see like how art can help you like navigate that.
Yeah.
I guess for myself, I've been trying to find different ways, I guess, to like integrate like culture and community, and that like the I've been working in language revitalization for a long time, and a lot of that's like inspired by mother and grandmother, and then a lot of community support, and a lot of it's been finding ways to like working in a university is like it's a lot of barriers for a lot of people to access like language and culture in a university, and I've always been trying to find ways that making things more accessible, and art and music was one of the ways that felt like I was able to get out of these walls in the building a little easier and bring that out to others. And the puppetry's kind of like tied everything in a even more accessible format, I've been finding. And even little things like the name of the puppet, that's not the puppet itself, but that's like a, what do you call that, a knitted version of Bobby. And like even just things like Bobby's namesake comes from an elder from Michipicoten, John Bobby Wash, or Emerson Real, an elder with two names. And so Bobby's short for Bobby Wash, named after him. And just little things like that, I guess, of trying to bring that in, and then sharing. So like there's like the specific community in Michipicoten, but then like also sharing with like all Anishinaabe communities, and anyone that's interested in learning Anishinaabe, and like just promoting language learning and use and that. So that's I guess some of the ways I've been bringing it together there.
That's amazing. Thank you all for sharing, you guys. Next question. Has any Indigenous artist influenced your art, or do you take inspiration from anyone in specific?
Um, I don't think it's anyone in particular. I think it's just everyone who has kind of come before me and influenced. And I don't even think I'd be able to name or put a face to every single thing that would be influencing um, the way that I work or incorporate my learned surroundings into the art that I'm working on.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I'd be in a similar place of like just having been influenced by just so many of like uh going to like friendship center coffee house nights and like watching everybody go up and play the songs, whether they were super talented or a little rougher around the edges with their playing or singing. It didn't matter. Like it was a place for everyone to sing and share music and listen. And I feel like going to those growing up, and my grandmother was one of the kind of the local staples that would sing at a lot of the local events and friendship center. And like and I was super shy. I was scared to play in public, and I didn't start singing until my mid 20s and that kind of thing. But like just seeing those seeing everyone just share and like not think too much about it and just do it, like I think those were all kind of I think those were kind of like the real inspirations, like because you could watch the professionals on stage and it's like, well, those are kind of out of reach of like what I'm hoping to do. But the ones that are on the ground and like just like up to sing at the local friendship center coffee house night, and I feel like those were a lot of some cool inspirations to have grown up around. And yeah, just I think showing that you don't have to do too much, like it's as far as you want to take it kind of thing, and it's just
Mhm.
having fun sharing and that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love friendship centers. Friendship centers definitely is what helped me connect to my culture better when I was a little kid because I don't know, I just didn't go to a lot of schools with a higher like Indigenous population. So having those places is really key to us. And it's nice to hear that like other Indigenous people and like other Indigenous people who are older than me have similar experiences with them and like having connections like that. Okay. What does it mean to you to work as an Indigenous artist?
Um, Again, I when considering the project, I had never really considered it art from my frame of mind. Not that I would think that now that I have that idea, it makes sense. But initially, I was just thinking like it's what I like to do for work, and that's what I was offered. So I am happy. Um, yes, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, amazing. Always glad to see Indigenous joy and happiness.
Yes.
Oh, could you rephrase the question one more time again there?
Yeah, so what does it mean to you to work as like an Indigenous artist? What is like the importance of it to you?
Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah, so that one, I feel like it's one of those it's like the foundational piece where there's always like that like a lot of what I do, like since a lot of it is language heavy, I kind of use like it more from a language piece, but like kind of I kind of just try to let it be like whatever comes out that is like an accurate reflection of who I am. So like the songs might not sound uh like like some of the songs are a mix of like punk rock and so like it's sometimes it's not always like an explicit or super visual representation, but like the cores and values of, and like even going back to those inspirations of like who inspired us and like encouraged us, like I feel like a lot of that is carrying that, and just sharing what that accurate reflection of who you are, of whoever you are, and however it comes out. It like being an Indigenous artist is going to look different for everybody on how that gets shared, right? And I think that all those inspirations of who made us who we are is, I think, part of what that is and what it looks like in that.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That was really powerful. So we have a question in the chat from our viewers. It says, what have been some of the most inspirational Indigenous arts that you have experienced that have impacted your journeys? This is a
Like
deep
a
one.
moment. I'll need a moment to think about that one.
Yeah, that's a good question though. I like that question because
It
there's
is
a
a
lot of
good
like
question.
inspiration from Indigenous arts, especially for me personally. I really resonate with like urban Indigenous music where they kind of like hallucination and those type of guys like DJ Shub. I like the inclusion of like that urban new music and then like our personal like traditional music. I think it really gave me the opportunity to explore myself as an urban Indigenous person.
Yeah, I guess I resonate with that also in a sense that um, it really incorporates the act of resistance and resilience as a form of art,
Mm,
and just how it can be expressed through so many different ways. And it's very impactful sounding music as well. So
mm,
I guess I would resonate with that. And then I guess just all the little small town artists
mhm.
who really do the most to just show off their art and be proud of who they are. So
Mm. Yeah, I love that, especially what you said about that like active resilience. In school, I take sociology, so we read a lot of theory, and one of my favorite theories is resilience theory, which basically talks about how resilience isn't staying completely stagnant in the same over a period of time and hardship. It's remaining true to those like that spirit, that person, that identity inside you, but also like changing and shifting with the tides. So having that resilience represented in music is really cool, and I'm glad to see other people think the same thing.
Yeah, and when you mentioned like hallucination, like when they were still a Tribe Called Red, like this was the memory that jumped back. Like when they first came to the Sioux, I think they played at in the gym in the Sioux College, and it was just I think it was like the first time experiencing that, of like seeing like just the way that community came together, and just like sometimes the different pockets of people that don't always interact or get along, everybody was there, and like it was just that tribe or hallucination. Like what they're doing is just they're just making music that feels true to themselves, blending that electronic and traditional music, right? And then the people came and danced, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, and it was truly something to see and experience. And I think like that just making that art or music that is reflective of who you are, and like seeing that like people will come together for that, for like just those true representations of art, and that, yeah, I thought that that was just something that one of those moments that stood out there, and so that's what, yeah, so
Yeah, I definitely agree. I remember they came to the Sioux, they played, I think, in the ball field on Rankin when I was just a little kid, and me and all my siblings, we like squeezed up and elbowed our way to the front. And it was just so cool watching like all these dancers in regalia busted down to an electric powwow beat. And I was like, ooh, this is deadly. And then everyone was there too, and we were all dancing and having a good time. I just remember like all the laughs and good times. And my younger brother and sister got taken up on stage and they were just dancing hard. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. Yeah. Another comment from our viewers is knowing more about the opportunities to support Indigenous arts in Bawating. So would you guys know anything about that? I know, JP, you're not really from Bawating, but if you have any connections and care, you are living here. So yeah. Personally, I'm not sure myself because I've just been away from the community for so long. I don't know what's popping up
I
recently.
forgot that I was muted. Um, I always forget about it. But I know that there are a couple of different Instagram handles that might be showcasing some artists that um, are are wanting their social medias to be followed, I guess. Sorry, that was confusing. Um, but I wouldn't know them offhand, so I would have to look those up. If there's some way that I can pass them along, I would love to.
Yeah, you probably email them to Garrett. That's the artist relations email for Fringe, if you were interested.
Okay.
I know sometimes I think about it and I'm like, there are a lot of like beaters and stuff in the Sioux, but I never remember their handles unless they're like my family or friends, but I'm not trying to do nepotism here.
Yeah, for sure. Just to think of them offhand, unless someone is selling, an artist is posting actively, I typically gets lost in the feed. So
Yeah.
artist, keep posting.
Yeah, there's some cool ones in the Sioux, like Lucia LaFord does a lot of paint and kind of like educational style too, like doing event nights. Ray Fox is in the area as well. A lot of the murals around town, I believe, were Thomas Sinclair, and we'd often get others to paint with them. And then like Teddy Surrett's around too. That's been
Mm.
painting more and more, and I think does different things. So there's that's for like a lot of like the painting and art, like visual art scene. I believe art gallery Algoma might have like some advice because I'm a little bit out of the what do you call that? Not really conventional of like how others came up with the art. So like I'm but again, I guess that shows you there's multiple pathways into the arts, right? Like there's not a set way. Like I just kept playing music on my own and then got into the puppetry on my own and found a way. And like so sometimes you might just have a hidden talent and someone might see or hear and then you get pulled in that way.
Mhm.
Like it sounds like with Care as well, like you got pulled into the art scene there with the artist was seeing in you and you're pulled in. So sometimes you might find your way in that way. And then there's art programs, theater, and like some of the high school, and then there's like local grants. Like the city has some pretty generous art grants that I've heard. I haven't applied for them yet, but I heard those are good like starting places for like just to get support for some art space things and there's like I think there's like starting to be like a little bit more of a burgeoning film scene. Like we got Ben Jonah at Rogers TV and that from Serpent River, and he's always a great resource that shares like the video and filming and that. So yeah, there's all kinds of there's Sioux's got the Sioux's got a more burgeoning art scene than might think at the start there. So there's definitely but events like this create like cool networking to connect us all a little more.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that last statement like fringe festivals and other festivals like this, creating more connections between Indigenous artists, because I don't know. Like when I started working for Fringe last year, I was kind of amazed of how many Indigenous artists we actually had, and just how much good work that people are doing out there for our art scenes. And I think that's so important. Just because I love art, it's so cool, and it's so important to understanding our histories, because art always comes from the people, and the people will always tell the truth. So that's my perspective on it. And we have another comment from our viewers. It is, what is your favorite art piece that you have ever created or contributed, and why? That's another good one. Mm,
I guess that's a tough one for me.
yeah.
With all things considered, me not really thinking about the fact that I was doing an art project with the videography, of course, it makes sense. I guess I'll have to think about that if JP wants to go first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is such a tough one there. And I guess like the most, I guess the one that's like surprising me, is like it's in a sense it's an art piece, and at the same time like it's so the way that the puppet's been kind of like it was such a collaborative way of worked on the design with my partner, and then sent the designs to a puppet maker based out of California, and the puppet maker brought it, and then once I got the puppet, I was struggling to figure out the name of like what am I gonna call him, and then someone recommended or mentioned like the elder, Mitch McCott, and so it's just kind of been almost like a community collaborative piece in a way of like more than people might realize. Like it's just been shaped by all these things, and then every time I bring him on stage in the community, it's like he's coming to life a little bit more each time. Like kids will ask questions like, "What's his favorite movie?" And I was like, "What the heck is his favorite movie? Where the Wild Things Are?" And like. What's his favorite song? And I was like, "What? What is his favorite song?" And I was like, and then I couldn't remember. So the question came up a second time. I couldn't answer it the first time, and I have a running gag is that he likes Steve Rabbit's like Anishinaabe Medium, and then so I was like, oh, his favorite song is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. So it's just like, and so it's kind of cool that he gets built, or he comes to life a little more from, and like, and that's coming from like input from people that interact with them and that kind of thing. And to me, it's kind of what I'm kind of most proud of, just how he's coming to life, and like seeing that he means something to people, and that it makes language learning a little less scary and a little more inviting. And I think that's one of the, I guess, the pieces that it's like an ongoing piece, I guess, there that I'm pretty happy with.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. And I definitely see like where you're coming from with the kids, because I just keep thinking about my niece and nephew last year at your performance, and just how happy they were. And I don't know, it warmed my little auntie heart seeing them interact with the language like that, because I've been trying to teach them stuff since they were kids, and well, not kids, but like little babies. And they only really remember Buckeye, which is be quiet, because they're sassy. So watching them do that and then listen and like remember the words that you were talking about, I was just like, oh, my little niche heart is just so full. Like, Kara, did you
And
think of one?
I hear the question just one more time just to make sure that I was thinking of the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. So it was, what is your favorite art piece that you have ever created or contributed to, and why?
Okay. I think when I kind of reflect on the type of work that I do and the type of passion projects that I work on, it always centers around just the continual growth of community and the art of what it means to get it all working together. I do really like to acknowledge the idea of life as an art form. So every time I really think of the beautiful things that I like, I work towards, it's always the community and coming together and learning about each other. So this project also is very much centered around that, and I think community might be it.
Oh, that's amazing. Community, it really is everything. And I feel like it's the reason why we all do what we do and go into the fields that we go into. And it's beautiful to see like how other Indigenous people are interacting in their lives and just interacting with art in general. It's just so cool. I feel like I'm a little fangirl sometimes and I'm like, oh, Indigenous people are so nice. Okay, so we got another question from the chat. It says, you would also love to hear about your dream future project if you had an unlimited budget. So money's not a thing. What are you doing?
Unfortunately, money is a thing.
True.
Um,
In your wildest fantasies, though, like
hmm.
what piece would you just love to create? What would you love to do?
JP, if you want to go ahead, you feel free.
Okay, I guess it would be essentially like an Ojibwe Sesame Street, and like we're envisioning him having like a cast of like characters that live on an island in the Great Lakes or Lake Superior specifically, and recording a bunch of the songs professionally, and then just I guess that would be that would be kind of like the if money wasn't. And I guess trying to do it like no budget, low budget as is, but like if there was like money wasn't an issue, it'd be like, Ojibwe Sesame Street style thing there.
That would be so cool. I would watch that as a grown-up. And I would love every single one of the characters too. I would be such a fan.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would love to see that.
It's also way deadlier than what I was thinking. I was like, I'll just put up a big Sabe statue in the middle of the forest somewhere, big really
That,
confuse people.
that'd
It'd
still be
actually be
awesome.
my dream to work on your dream with you. So if you ever need help with that.
That community collaboration there. That's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess just maybe combining all of my art forms that I've worked on throughout the years and um having a place for Indigenous folk and others to feel safe, but yes, focused around Indigenous folk.
That's amazing. Love these project ideas. We need to get grants for these. These sound amazing. Okay, so back to my question list now. What are the biggest challenges on an artist that you've had to overcome? Or what are the biggest challenges you've had to overcome as an artist? I feel like I worded that one weird.
I think the consistency of the challenges of life, and how much life brings to the table can be quite challenging to be able to let your mind go and create art and do things that you are passionate about. So again, there are big things that contribute to or my barriers that I face if I'm looking to work on my art, but I think a big contributing factor to those are the little things.
Definitely, for sure. I can see that. Just like everyday struggles are always so rough.
Yeah, I can't do art very easily if I have a tough day at work. So
Yeah, and it reminds me of like Pablo's hierarchy of needs and how like we need to have like food, shelter, safety for us in order to create art, and how like art is an innate human like characteristic, and how if those needs aren't met, are we like struggle to create art. So like, yeah, everyday life just does not help us do art at all.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same, like I come from like a pretty privileged place of having a good job that like and having enough time to like work on art, and I really admire those that take the scary challenge of being full-time artists, because like you said, there's not a lot of like a lot of art's taken for granted. Like people don't realize the amount of time that goes into getting the skill and the talent and the time of making things, and so I definitely admire those that like that make that full time commitment to being full time artists, because I know that I have a pretty privileged place of having a job and doing art, and I guess from like a personal perspective is like overcoming those self doubts too. There, like I know that was something that I like. Is it good enough? Is it good enough? And like just that self doubt and self deprecation of like our own art, and just overcoming like and like not everyone's gonna like it no matter what, even if it's the most amazing thing in the world. And it's just like just do it anyways, and if it makes one person happy, that's all you need, kind of thing. So I think those are some of the things that that jump out, and then definitely there needs to be more supports for artists out there to be able to be and thrive as artists there. So definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, especially since like I feel like so much of like the very like known arts of like the celebrities and stuff, it's very about like who you know and not what you create. And I think we should definitely like work on changing that, because I've experienced some arts and little festivals like this that are just so beautiful and amazing that I just wish more people could see it. But that's just not the way the art world works right now, and it just breaks my heart. Okay. So another one of my questions is, what do you think the best ways non-Indigenous people can engage and support Indigenous art slash artists?
Um, do your research.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. I like that.
Um, I mean, like you can follow my Indigenous arts pages and watch what I'm doing in the community, but um, it's pretty accessible to everybody, I think,
hmm
and we've made it that way. So
Yeah.
um, those are one of those you can do the work. That's how you can be.
I like that answer. I like that answer a lot, actually. Just educate yourself. We have so many resources open and available now. Like, it's so not easy. I won't say easy. Learning's never easy, but it's accessible.
Yeah, for
We've made
sure.
it accessible for a reason.
Questions are great. I've never turned down a question, and you can never get inside an artist's mind, but we have made social media incredibly accessible for everyone. So
Yeah, I think for Indigenous arts too, because we are so community based and we're very collective mindset people, that we've made a lot of our art and our traditions and the teachings that come with that art very accessible to people. And I think it's just about, reaching out and actually going and seeing that art.
Yeah, I agree with those ones. I feel like that's like, and then you said like investing in and making the space, and like those that are more established in the arts, like to like take chances on people that might be new and up and comers, and like give them a space to share and show some art, and a place to perform, like those kind, and just I guess encouragement too, like words of encouragement from people goes a long way there, because I know that like just going back to that self doubt from earlier, just having someone being like that was cool, love what you're doing, it can go a long way for 'cause I know a lot of artists struggle with that self doubt, right? So even just even just as simple things of like words of encouragement, but also investment, and if those that have resources to invest and make space, that definitely helps a lot. And taking chances on young up and comers, you don't always need to invest in the known ones, because they don't always need the help as much as young up and comers or those that. So yeah, I guess those are some ways to help. Yeah.
Amazing answers. Thank you guys. And then, okay, so this is the last question that I have before I'll give you guys an opportunity to like plug your socials and other work that you're doing. So I asked this last year too. What advice would you give to Indigenous artists who are just starting out their journeys/careers? And you can take a minute to think about it too. I know that's a pretty loaded question as well.
I thought I had something and I let it go.
That happens to me so much sometimes. It makes me a little bit shy, especially when I'm in like seminars and I'm like, actually, I have something to say. Never mind. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as bad if I didn't hit the mic ready to go, but I'm just not.
Mhm.
I guess one for me is, I guess, to just keep doing it, and like even if things don't work out your first go at it, like don't it's not a door that closes forever. Like your art can show up or find a way when you least expect it. So like maybe maybe you'll be able to start as soon as you're 18 and find a way to like pursue and like make a living off of arts, or maybe you'll be 40 and suddenly things just click into place with your life, and you're able to start living your dream of being an artist at 40 or 50. So it's like it's one of those things of like you're never too young or old to be an artist, and like it's like a dream that you don't have to think of it more as pauses rather than like a dream that goes away. Or so I think that's one of those, is like it doesn't follow. Art never follows a clear and easy path, and if it did, that it wouldn't really be art, right? Like and so I think it's just sometimes you don't stop even if it doesn't feel like it's working out, or like sometimes it might just have to work out on its own time, outside of what we hope or want it to be. But yeah, so keep doing whatever art form you do, and again, it might not always work out the way you expected, but it might find its way back into your life at another point, and yeah, and well, and those of us that have a bit of, will definitely keep encouraging and trying to make space for more art for others too. There, yeah.
Mhm. What an amazing piece of advice. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I think to keep letting your younger self look at your work before you start criticizing it. So there's nothing really that I've done when I think about the projects that I work on. It's typically from a place of working on that younger self, or trying to heal that younger self, or heal previous selves. So if that self is pretty okay with what I'm doing, then chances are it's aligned with what I've wanted to do. So I likely won't be too disappointed. And you likely won't be too disappointed if you let your younger self look at it first and appreciate all the things that they think are cool.
Oh, that's really
I always think I'm way cooler when I look at myself from the younger lens than I do now. Like everybody thinks they're embarrassing and awkward until you remember how cool little you would think you are. So
such a good piece of advice, because I use that thought process too. I'm like, oh, I feel so like not good about this, but then I just think about how proud like 5-year-old me would have been of everything that I've done, and I think that's really good to just like tell Indigenous people in general, because this world can really try to bring us down, but you just gotta think about who we are when we were younger and how far we've come and what we've overcome. I think it's amazing. So I'll give you guys an opportunity to plug your socials and other works you might be doing right now before we do the outro.
am I just typing this into the chat or what am I doing?
You can say it because I don't think the people watching can see the Zoom chat.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have been a little bit more clear. But just like if you got any like Instagram handles you want to like shout out
Yeah.
or any other projects you want to shout out, this is an opportunity to do it.
Okay, so you can follow my social media at Creecare on Instagram. That's where I'm typically the most active. And I am pretty busy all over the place. Case management is a very busy job. But I also do work together with the Ontario Indigenous Youth Partnership Program on a few minor projects. So that's what I'm doing in my spare time right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
Just hit follow on your Insta there. Where most of my stuff's currently, I have some stuff under my YouTube under my name, like JP Chelikoff on YouTube, and then I've also slowly launching Bobby's own social media stuff. So he's under Bobby the Puppet. Bobby spelled as Baabii. The Puppet on Instagram, and then he has his own Facebook page under Bobby as well, Baabii. And I think those are eventually he'll have his own YouTube page as well. I thought I was going to start videos and then performances with them, but it's kind of been the reverse there. So, thank you, Miigwech.
Miigwech. Okay, so Miigwech Kinagwaya for joining us here tonight. If you want to get to know these artists better, come out to Fringe North Festival on August 21st to the 25th. If you're interested in learning more about Fringe North as an organization, consider checking out our website, siouxfringe.com. Finally, we are going to continue these amazing roundtables every Thursday evening up until festival, so tune in next week for another panel of our amazing artists. Miigwech again to you guys for coming out and joining us here today and, laying down some good, deadly Indigenous knowledge. Always love to hear it. And thank you everyone today for watching. I hope you all had as much fun as I did.
Thank you. See ya.